When we're here discussing these situations, globalism, nationalism, why is it so important for conservatives, patriots, populists to meet and have this exchange of ideas when we're fighting up against Davos and Brussels and all the rest?
Well, because they're very good at organising against us, and the likes of the US-EU forum is incredibly important to bring conservative voices and patriotic voices together. We saw that very powerfully today, and they are actually tackling the big issues that really matter to our respective countries. The United Kingdom is all sorts of trouble right now with a far-left Prime Minister called Keir Starmer. He's locking up Christians, he's censoring people, he's putting people in prison just for reporting the news. It really is quite a dystopian nightmare. And we value very much our American friends and allies coming across and showing an interest, not just in the UK, but here in Hungary as well, and previously in Romania as well at the election of George Simeon as the candidate there. So we saw huge American support come in, and we appreciate it.
Well, that's incredible. Now, one of the big pieces that I've been meaning to get into on the program here, and since and so folks know the geography, we're here in Budapest. We are only a few miles away from the border with Ukraine, and there's been this huge escalation over the last 24, 48 hours. Ukraine attacking Putin, Putin responding, Ukraine responding, drone strikes, President Trump coming out saying, what happened to the ceasefire? What happened to the peace deal? I have my thoughts on it. Let me get your thoughts on it too.
Well, there's a huge number of people within the European elites that don't actually want a peace deal. They have their own reasons for it. President Trump has done a remarkable job since he got into office. He's solved so many problems and issues. But the Ukraine one is still eluding everybody. And it's really primarily because Zelensky doesn't want to leave office. He believes if he leaves office, he's going to become vulnerable. There's a huge amount of money that's come in from the United States taxpayer, British, European taxpayers, that is actually unaccounted for. He's admitted himself there's about $100 billion, he doesn't know where it went. Well, there's that. But I think what Putin is upset about right now, and I'm not a Putin apologist at all, but I think if you look at it historically, there were grievances there, and historically going back, the formation of the Minsk Agreement, which Merkel and Francois Hollande admitted was only a front to allow Zelensky and Ukraine to rearm. So when you do a negotiation at the international level like that and you break your word, you lose respect. Internationally, it's the same in business.
Well, and this is what's caused the situation for President Trump to step into now.
Correct.
To say, all right, let's make a deal. And of course, the Russians are saying, well, the last deal was broken. And it seems to me that this escalation it's the answer to the first round of negotiations. The answer is no. We don't want the ceasefire. We don't want a frozen conflict from both sides, by the way. Putin and Zelensky both want to keep this going. And it seems to me that, and by the way, what was it really that started this initial round of escalation?
This initial round, I think it was because Zelensky is looking for more and more money. He's never stopped asking for more and more money, weapons, systems. When, in actual fact, if President Trump had been in office at the time, I honestly believe the war would never have happened. He does understand how to do a deal. He does understand how to negotiate. And more importantly, Vladimir Putin respects Trump because he sees him as a strong man, which he is. They both actually have a high degree of respect for each other. But you saw what happened with the White House scenario where Zelensky was there acting up with President Trump. Not a good idea.
Yes, and I was in the room with Zelensky and Bessent about a week prior to that, and it was a similar situation.
Yeah. So what we need to see now is, I think, maybe pressure put on the Europeans, in actual fact, because they're the ones who are, I suppose, really covering for Zelensky now. And I think what I would like to see is...
Well, and when... In the midst of all this, Putin goes down and he's taking a helicopter tour of the Kursk region, which is within Russia proper. It's not one of the disputed regions that's currently at combat. So he's visiting Russia proper, and then the Ukrainians, they tried to take him out.
Well, they put 40 drones in to try and take his helicopter out, so of course he's going to be upset about that. But I mean, I think that there is a real danger that this escalates. And the last thing anybody wants, America doesn't want it, I don't think Russia wants it either, is a third world war, because if that happens, it could be
catastrophic. And this is the big threat. And there are people on the left who they try to take me out of context. Say, "Oh, you care about Poland so much," and I just spoke in Poland. So if you care about Poland so much, why is it that you're you're not wanting to increase the war in Ukraine. I said, it's because I care about Poland, and want to make sure that everyone knows you're listening right now on the Salem Radio Network. You're watching live on Real America's Voice. We are here live in Hungary, Budapest, Hungary, only miles away from the Ukrainian border, and also miles away from the Polish border. Slovakia, sort of sandwiched in between there in the mountains. But the point is that this region is so small, and it can be such a powder keg, and historically has been such a powder keg for World War I, for World War II, and hopefully not World War III. So the goal is to take a step further and say, are you for this side or for that side? No, I'm against World War III. And so if I'm against World War III, that doesn't mean I have to agree or justify anything that Russia has done. I certainly don't. And at the same time, I don't have to be a Zelensky supporter either, is to say we all need to pull back. And I think that's generally where Trump's at.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think it's a very accurate, very good assessment. And I think we're starting to see evidence of that playing out. We need cooler heads to prevail. Unfortunately, I don't believe Zelensky is a cool head at all. I think he has other invested interests in there that would like to see it continue. And he's desperate to bring Europe in, and he's desperate to engage with Article 5. If he could try to trigger that, then it would bring in the other NATO members. And of course, Zelensky and Sarkozy, Zelensky and Lavrov, the foreign minister, has made it very clear.
Well, Sarkozy's running around too.
Sarkozy is actually, it was a Freudian slip there, Jack.
He has been running around.
He has been running. He's
been
also running around doing things in Romania, which he shouldn't have been doing either.
Romania, taking money from the Chinese too, by the way.
There's a lot to uncover here, but I think really we have a real opportunity with Trump in the White House. He wants peace. He has the skills to do it, but we need to make sure that those people within Europe, those that are globalists, that are pursuing this particular agenda, are reined in. And I think Trump is the man to do it. If he speaks to them and puts the cards on the table and gets them to prevail, we might see peace. But the alternative isn't worth considering.